For music people, music is everything. It's rhythm, it's energy, it's inspiration, it's motivation, it's hanging on to sorrow. It triggers everything. It's, for music people, they hear rhythm in everything. So that's why I love it. It's so intrinsic to our lives. What would we do without music? I don't know. The best time I ever had is a place in Philly called Bob and Barber's. And it's the last remaining place on South Street, and it's the oldest continuous music venue in Philadelphia, 33, 35 years plus. You show up on a Friday night, a Saturday night, free, band, blues, jazz, anything you can imagine. People come from all over. It's the most gorgeous dive you've ever been into. Beatles. Grew up loving John Lennon. Said and done, right there. They became the Gershwins of the modern era, the greatest songwriters in the world, creating standards that will live on to forever. The console that our parents had sitting there, and you threw in Frank Sinatra, you threw in all the classics, you threw in Nat King Cole, Dean Martin, all of the greatest, and even the best blues albums. Joe Williams, a blues singer. We saw and listened to everybody growing up, every musical. It was fantastic. You know, we couldn't wait to throw our stuff on there, which even started with Woodstock and whatever the Beatles had put out, and Stones too. Springsteen, Marley, Bowie, Floyd. We were actually, that was cruising to, there wasn't a favorite, that was what cruising was for. So we could continue to discover new stuff and turn each other on and listen to some of the greatest music stations in the world. WXPN, WMMR, when they were truly experimental and they played what the DJs wanted, which were extraordinary. Waverly Inn was run by a Jamaican guy who had a lot of friends in entertainment, the up-and-coming crowd there that was crashing that neighborhood and making things happen, artists, and musicians would show up and sing a cappella in the middle of the tiny fucking bar, serving the best beers, playing the best music on the side that you ever heard. There was just a groove always happening there. We were introduced to Bromberg back in the mid-70s because he was a session man for so many people like Bob Dylan. And he played so incredibly well. And he was huge in the New York area, tri-state area. And we saw him a couple of times, turned me on by a friend of high school. We'd all come back from college and share music. And we came up to Tarrytown, New York, and saw Bromberg. And he blew us away as 18, 19, 20-year-olders. Just blew us away with the incredible dexterity and the musicianship with so many instruments, and the jamming, the jam band gig. I mean, that was not common back then to do long songs. Back in the mid 70s, early 70s, it was it was just the area that the Allmans and others were getting into, based on inspiration from jazz improvisation all the time. American jazz and the start of that always influenced music, and I think influences all the music today. If you look at jam band, where did they come out of? That came out of jazz improvisation from John Coltrane and Charlie Parker and these people who would put on improvisations of 14, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And finally it caught up with jazz fusion, and Chick Corea, who just passed, was one of the architects of jazz fusion, and bringing that to a rock audience and making the crossover. Most of it fueled by Bill Graham, who was willing to put Miles Davis and Neil Young on in the same show. But that's why we're so blessed with such incredible artists, because they learned improvisation, I think, from jazz. Right. The shows: David Bromberg at the Keswick, Alan Toussaint at the Village Vanguard, with Dan and Melinda, with Elvis Costello being called up after the New Orleans catastrophe, and Madonna sitting next to us with Joe Henry and Elvis Costello. Trombone Shorty and Soldiers of Jah Army, Soja, at All Good Music Festival with Steel Pulse. The best music ever on the side of a mountain. Trombone Shorty opening, had only heard he was good, leads a funeral march into the last day and blows everybody away at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Modest Yahoo at World Cafe Live in Philly with my goddaughter and my best friend Rick, my best music friend, just, you know, dropped us. Unexpected. Mike always asks this question, unexpected. Finley Quay at a place on 7th Ave in New York going south near the tunnel, and Jamaican reggae, a band, a one-album wonder, Annie Lennox twice. Seeing her up close at a Eurythmics promotion party down off of Houston Street, and seeing the energy, and also seeing her outdoors at the Man Music Festival and watching her eyes control everybody, watching her eyes and her energy and a voice that you can't believe. Lou Rawls at the Phillips Trade Show in Las Vegas. We hired 3 people, 3 days in a row, James Ingram, Patty Austin, and Lou Rawls, and was able to spend the day with Lou Rawls. He had to sing 3 songs every hour, on the hour for 5 hours, and in between he was rehearsing with his pianist, and he looked at me and he said in only the way that a guy like Lou Rawls could say, "Hey baby, you want me to sing 5 songs? I'll sing 5 songs. You're paying me to sing, I'm here to sing." And it's the kind of voice that you just can't believe till you're talking to him live. The Hooters at Jack's in Avalon with Jimmy Barronall. Just seeing another unexpected. The Hooters just blew the doors off of this place with incredible energy in this when they were in multicolored rock, or multicolored smocks. David Bowie at the Spectrum for the Modern Day tour. They filmed that. Pink Floyd at the Spectrum, Dark Side of the Moon. 4 people introduced to Colombian marijuana and Pink Floyd live in the same night. We all lost our minds, and it was an incredible place. Neil Young, first row, Spectrum, Steve Still's band, on acid, and having someone throw an M80 in the middle of the show and see Neil Young hurl this thing off because it sounded like somebody was shot, and throw off his thing, and the musicians left. They came back after a 10 or 15 minute break, and he came back because we saw this from the first row, and he was white as a ghost. And he opened the second half of that show after the M80 was thrown with Helpless. Ray Charles, Oyster Bay Arboretum. If you've never heard a voice live, you have to hear Ray Charles, who could take the word yes and make it into 3 syllables. Unbelievable musicianship. And starting off one of the love of jazz, Grover Washington at the Bijou Cafe, promoting his live album, 1975-76, Small Horseshoe, gorgeous place. Springsteen at the Tower Theater, 1974-75, 9th row, just launching Born to Run thing, 3.5-hour extravaganza. And Sonny Rollins, the ultimate improviser. Sonny Rollins, the ultimate improviser. Saxophone, Kimmel Center, just showing, that music and what he was playing is life. And life was just surging through him and just coming through his horn. There we go. It's renowned.